Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Full House Games. You are joining us for round 6, and joining me is Jonathan Winter.
Glad to be here, as always.
We're watching Ryan on the left there with that Journey to Nick's Champions playmat play against John Lestrange, aka JJ, with his Glissa, I think that is, or is that the Boros commander?
Yeah, it's some Archangel thing.
Sorry, it's not Glissa. The one from Avison Restored, I believe it is. But anyway, we have Boros Burn facing off against Kiki Pod, and it looks like Ryan has had to mulligan.
I think we've talked about how red decks just love to mulligan earlier in the tournament.
But I feel like this is probably one of the better decks to be mulliganing if you need to.
Looks like JJ is going to take the opportunity to look for a better hand as well.
Okay. Yeah. Not bad. Boros Burn, you really just need one white, one blue. Sorry, one white, one red, and you're good to go.
Yeah, because you played Boros Charm, I think your burn spells pack a little bit extra, so...
Yeah. And those Lightning Helixes as well will keep him out of range of some creature-based damage.
I assume he's still playing things like Searing Blaze. In this matchup, Searing Blaze is the absolute key to victory for Burn, because if you can Searing Blaze a Birds of Paradise...
Searing Blaze, do you think Searing Blood as well, or...?
I would say that's more likely to be in the sideboard, just to give you a bit extra...
Right, because they have to be running creatures for Searing Blood, whereas Searing Blaze can just target them if it has to.
No, you do need a creature for Searing Blaze. You do.
For Searing Blaze? I thought it was deal damage to target player and a creature they can... and also you can deal damage.
You need a creature, I believe, to play the spell, but if the creature is removed, in response it still deals the 3 damage to the player.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense, yeah. So target creature, target player, and target creature that player controls.
Yeah.
Landfall, if you had a land enter the battlefield, deals 3 damage and 3 damage instead. So I like that as well.
Ryan is mulliganing again. So
that's unfortunate.
Good news for JJ.
JJ looks ecstatic about that one.
Yeah.
With a Chord of Calling in hand, looks like a Voice of Resurgence as well, which is really good for him, because if he goes Voice into Kitchen Finks, Ryan can't just respond with a Skullcrack, because it's just going to give him another token as well. Which is
he can, but it's probably not going to be a winning play.
True. You do have to have probably Magma Seers, I think, to deal with that.
So a good 5-card hand would almost certainly include a Goblin Guide, a Searing Blaze, and I don't know, assorted burn spells after that.
Yeah, I think you want some Skullcracks just because of Kitchen Finks.
Yeah.
JJ's going to hurt himself a lot, probably, with...
So he's missed on the Guide. Guide is usually the way Burn wins after mulliganing a lot.
Yeah. Might want to untap your land there. Ooh.
JJ is fortunate to not have to pay any life to play that Noble Hierarch there.
Of course, with Shocks. And we're going to see a Voice. And that's really going to hurt Ryan's chances. One card that I do really like, maybe as a one-of in Burn against heavy creature decks, is the Fire Dancer Satyr or Satyr Fire Dancer from Born of the Gods. Just allows you to get twice as much value.
It'll be very good in this matchup, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it's probably a sideboard card, most definitely, but something that you probably want. I think something you also probably want is
when your opponent is happy to pay life to shock as a burn player, things aren't going well.
And we're looking at probably a Resto Angel here. Yeah.
Yeah, so not much of a match there, unfortunately.
That was a rather quick game 1. Not even seeing any of the Kiki Pod, any of the pod tech at all.
I have to take my hat off to JJ. I tend to get a bit of press about being a proponent of birthing pod decks, or someone who has had success playing birthing pod decks.
JJ is, or you?
Me.
Okay, yeah.
I was fortunate enough to win a WMCQ with birthing pod.
Very
in
nice.
2012.
Very nice.
But
I love
a lot of people don't realise that JJ was actually the first player that I know in Brisbane who started playing Birthing Pod decks.
Okay. Was he on Malira or Kiki at this point?
Oh, this is before any of that. I believe this was I think it was like a standard PTQ.
Oh wow. Okay.
And JJ was running some kind of Birthing Pod brew, and even I was like, "What is this ridiculous crap that you're playing, JJ?" But not long after that, I got on the Birthing Pod train, but like I said, I have to congratulate JJ on seeing the potential that card had. So
absolutely,
it was very soon after New Phyrexia came out. Yeah, we are pod brothers, JJ and I. So,
both running Kiki Pod for this event.
Yeah, I did run. I ran a slightly different version.
Yep.
I'm going to be featured a bit later, so maybe we can.
Yeah, we'll hold off on that one.
But it's this is a 4-color Birthing Pod deck, so it runs. It's Naya with blue. This one that JJ is running.
Okay. Yes. And that's for the
biggest blue spell. The most important blue spell in the deck is Glenalendra Archmage.
Yes, that's what I was looking for.
It shuts down
Ryan.
Almost all combo. Yeah, or it's good. Definitely good against burn.
Yeah. Yep. Paying a blue to counter 4 damage is pretty strong. And you can do it twice. And I believe JJ is actually running the Spike Feeder Archangel of Thune combo.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
And
so I think this is a very a typical Swiss Army knife Birthing Pod deck. Sounds like JJ has put every cute combo he can think of into the deck, perhaps at the expense of playing more copies of sort of solid pod cards like Voice and Kitchen Finks.
I don't know. I think he's still running at least 3 or 4 Kitchen Finks and probably a high count of Noble Hierarchs and.
For me, a pod deck in Modern always starts with 4 birds, 4 Noble Hierarch. You just got to play 8 of those guys. It's so
absolutely.
important to
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I think the same on Voice. Since you're podding for most of your targets, I think you can actually afford to run a lot more targets like that, just because they're one-offs, and the crucial things like the 3-drop Kitchen Finks, the maybe 3 or 4 of Voice of Resurgence don't cut into your budget as much.
Yeah.
Which is quite beneficial. But it's always up to the player how they play their deck and what they want to play, because it's such a sort of it's such a deck that you can sort of personalize yourself with various different combos, such as Spike Feeder, Archangel of Thune, Malira, Kiki, and who knows what else is going to come out from the 2-block rotations that are about to come up. Khans of Tarkir, we could see a bunch more fantastic combos, and I think Pod is just a great way for those to happen.
I actually think everyone. I mean, the ban list is always a controversial topic, but I think I would hate to see Birthing Pod banned, because it allows for creative deck building. But I do think Kitchen Finks might be a bit too good in the deck.
Okay.
But particularly because it's a 3-powered creature, it allows the deck to beat down so effectively as a backup plan.
Sure.
I think Kitchen Finks, to be fair in the pod deck, needs to be a 2/2 creature, not a 3/2 creature.
Okay. Because obviously it can profitably block, and then
it's such an amazing card in the deck. It's just it does everything you want. If they banned Kitchen Finks, I think that would bring Pod back from that brink of being a problematic deck, without getting rid of the archetype, totally. So anyway, He's just thinking of random things to talk about while we wait for the players to shuffle.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to ever see Pod banned because I would love to play a Pod deck, and I think Kiki Pod is one of my favourites.
Pod is one of those decks you pick up once you become an experienced player, and you can sort of progress past the more linear decks. Pod is one of those decks that gives you so many choices, and when you're experienced, you get a lot of pleasure from picking the right lines.
Yeah,
and
this
deck allows you to do that.
I think having Kiki Jiki in there as well makes it so much more interesting for those lines, because you can run the Splinter Twin untap combo.
Yeah,
and the sort of standard line is, of course, have a 1-drop and a 2-drop in play. Sacrifice your 2-drop to fetch your... I've forgotten the name of the card. Pestamite's counterpart.
Yeah.
Untap your pod. Pay 1 life. And that is a Burton Forge Tender.
Yeah, pro red.
And you can sack
he's paid 1 life to fetch a plains.
And you can, of course, sack Burton Forge Tender to prevent...
Yes, but this is
damage of any red source.
I wonder if this will come up. There's an important interaction with Forge Tender and Burn, and it has to do with Flames of the Bloodhand. That's an Eidolon of you take 2 damage.
Eidolon of the Great Rebel. I'm gonna punch you for 2 every time. JJ playing very well here, just playing basic lands, so he doesn't have to take any extra damage.
Well, yeah, that's what you want against Burn.
Yeah.
He's still in a tough spot here. That Eidolon is going to build up a lot of damage.
That's true.
This early in the game.
That is very true. But
he's
Ryan's also going to be taking a fair bit of damage himself.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't mind.
He probably doesn't mind, because I believe he's running... Well, he would have to be running Lightning Helixes, which is basically...
Well, when your opponent's got Spellskite
gain 1
and a
life.
1/1, you're not really under threat of getting beaten down.
No, that's true. But you do have to be careful, because he could drop a pod at any point.
So the question is whether JJ blocks here. That's a tough call. I would have kept back the Forge Tender to block.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to lose your Spellskite, and the Searing Blaze threat is...
You can always sacrifice that Forge Tender if you have to.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good threat against Searing Blaze as well, just because
okay, so you didn't kill
2 for 1 Ryan, in that Ryan will attempt to cast it and take 2 damage from Eidolon, and JJ can sacrifice the Forge Tender in response. Okay.
So I wonder if...
I like this. So... Exalted trigger here. Going soon for 2.
Okay, so JJ clearly wants to try to punish Ryan for playing that asymmetrical Eidolon. Try to race him effectively.
So do you crack that fetch for a blue here, so you just avoid taking paying life for...
If he's got an island, then yes. Is that a Lightning Helix?
It's a Misty Rainforest, so he could fetch.
Well, no. What spell has Ryan just played there?
It is a Lightning Helix.
So if JJ has an island, he can effectively counter that spell.
He could sacrifice the Forge Tender for it, which is an interesting line, but he's just going to pay 2 life instead.
This is for the viewers back home. We don't actually have the life totals updated in front of us here at the moment, so we don't know what they're on exactly. But I think Ryan's going to be taking a lot of damage.
Looks like JJ's on maybe 10, if I can see on his life total tracker there properly, which will probably be cut off in the actual bit. It looks like that's a 0.
JJ, bless him, has made 2 of those things for me. Those little life total things. So
they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
I should probably get one.
He is a good man.
I do like the old pen and paper, however.
Yeah, it's good for EDH, those little counter.
Oh, for sure, yeah. If you're just playing casually, they're a great way to keep track of life totals. But in events like this...
He actually made a birthing pod flavoured one for me. It had the birthing pod art on it. So.
Ooh, very nice. I don't know why you wouldn't crack your Misty there. Maybe fetching a...
If you have an island, then...
Okay.
You can just... You don't have to. But if you do... If your only blue source is a shock, I think there's a good argument for cracking it there.
I suppose, yeah, if you have an island in hand, then I can see why.
Or in the deck, yeah.
But, yeah. I like this too. He's making sure to hold off on that Boros Charm here. Do you sacrifice Burton to Boros Charm? Or?
I think there's a good argument for doing that because that's the most life you're going to effectively gain with Forge Tender is 4 life, so...
Yeah.
And going back to that interaction I was talking about with earlier, you cannot use Forge Tender on Flames of the Bloodhand because Flames of the Bloodhand says damage cannot be prevented.
Right, and is Ryan running Flames of the Bloodhand? Or?
I would be surprised if he wasn't. It's a very good burn spell. So he did cash in that Forge Tender there, which I think is a pretty good play. And now Ryan is probably thinking about finally dealing with that spell skirt with the Forge Tender out of the way.
So Flames of the Bloodhand, similar to...
Is that a lightning hitting?
It is, yeah. So it's really damaging him that having that Eidolon in play.
Yeah, we just don't know what the life totals are at this point. Those beats from the Pride Mage are probably going to put him under pressure.
I think so. And there's the shock that we were talking about last turn. Do you maybe fetch your pod here? And do you think you swing
against
3?
Burn, I tend to side out at least 2 birthing pods. You don't want to ever pay life with the casting cost or activation cost of birthing pod against Burn if you can help it.
Do you maybe hit?
So it ends up being a very expensive spell.
You could maybe hit Kiki here, and then hope you survive until next turn.
Looks like he's going to go with the old Gavany Township beatdowns. Because obviously every spell that Ryan plays is going to be shocking him. Okay, Eternal Witness.
E-Witness returning Forge Tender? Uh-huh.
I hope they're keeping track of these Eidolon triggers.
It looks like they are. They certainly seem to be. That, Ajani's Pride Mate has done a lot of damage.
Oh, of course. What is he doing now?
So, after damage, gonna sacrifice, and now he'll play his Burton Forge Tender. And then he just has a lot of get up and go here.
So he should have played Witness post-combat as well, so he kind of accidentally took 2 extra there, effectively.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah. So this is interesting. Alright, so Burn Willows, and you don't need it for green, since you've already got plenty of that, so...
Well, he's going to Township now, I imagine.
I think he might use that Court of Calling, actually.
Just it all depends on what life he's at.
Swing of both. It's got pro red.
So that Searing Blaze is
just
for 1.
Do 1 damage. Yeah.
So now he can get a Resto Angel.
There's probably a Judge Call because he targeted Burton Forge Tender.
Well, if that's the case, he just has to take it back. because it's any other guild's easy.
Oh yeah, it's an easy fix, but he'll still pick up a GRV for it, and that's not something you really want.
I'd like to see a nice Bresto here to punish him. He's going for
1, 2,
that's
3.
5.
Oh, he could be getting Kiki to copy it.
Oh, he's getting the angel.
Court of Calling is X or less, so 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What else is 5?
You've got to get resto because you bounce witness, get back cord, and then you can go again. So unless you want to get Archangel and try to
works.
It up next turn.
What's he fetching? Ooh,
Ravenlock.
That's nice. I think it's.
I don't understand that actually. No, why is that good?
I think you're right. He could have fetched the angel, but Revelark sort of puts a soft lock on Ryan here. Because if it dies, he can fetch that E-Witness and just play E-Witness again and get back the Revelark.
I wish I knew what his life total was because I would be prioritizing a life gain line.
Okay, so you're more of a fan of that.
But I suppose if you're going to get back Spellskite with the Ravenlock, that's kind of life gain in a way. Of course, let's not forget that Ravenlock is full power of flying damage. So.
Yeah, so that if Ryan's on a low life total,
he does have
Gavin,
so he's got to be close to a lethal attack. Yeah.
That Burton Forge Center is just doing so much work for him here, coming back twice just to.
It's the reason it's in the 75 cards now is because of Anger of the Gods, but you can certainly bring it in against Mono Red quite happily.
Yep, absolutely, and even Boros Burn in this case. And like you said, Burton Forge Center not a great card against Flames of the Bloodhand, but also Skullcrack because damage can't be prevented.
Actually, this came up at the event, and turns out Skullcrack, you can prevent Skullcrack the way it's worded.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very weird.
Is it? I'm assuming it's because it says Skullcrack deals 3 damage, damage can't be prevented.
I can't remember the wording, but I was accused of...
No, you can't prevent it. It says players can't gain life this turn.
Just look up Flames of the Bloodhand and see if the wording is different.
Flames of the Bloodhand is worded slightly differently. The Bloodhand? I don't think either of them can be prevented. Flames of the Bloodhand deals 4 damage to target player. The damage can't be prevented. If the player would gain life this turn, that player gains no life instead.
I think if you look at Skullcrack, it doesn't refer to its own damage as damage that can be prevented. It just says it once the spell resolves for the rest of the turn, damage can't be prevented.
I think.
Anyway, this is one of those.
All right.
I think the Ravenlock ended up being lethal, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But
that's an unusual
bit of
way to win
for the judge
because you had no kitchen finks, no life gain at all.
Yeah.
Pretty, I guess you could say, anemic draws from Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan is the.
But that's how it happens sometimes.
Ryan and Sam Sedgman are the 2 premier burn kids of Brisbane.
Okay, nice.
They
good
always
way to be.
wielding the deck.
Anyway, please stay tuned to Full House Games for Magic and more, and we should have round 7 up next. 7 up next. 7 up next. 7